Hey, what's up, guys? How you guys doing? Listen, if you can leave a message over in the comment section so I know who is in the room with us today, that would be amazing. Again, guys, all you can do is go ahead on the right-hand side to just drop some comments in the comment section. This is live on Facebook, but I am using what's called StreamYard, which is a streaming device or streaming group that allows me to stream this right from my computer right to you all live. And I just wanted to make sure that I can get some comments in here so I can know who's here. So if you are in the room, please go ahead and drop your comment in the comment section. That would be great. All right. So if you did not allow me to see your name, I need you to have, hi, Renchi Carlos, and then a dash with your name. Hey, Marianne, how are you? So good to see you. So glad you're on with us tonight. Let's see who else is jumping on here with us. Looking forward. What's up? What's up? When you give me the what's up, you got to give me the what's up from who, so I know who it is. Awesome start. That was pretty cool, right, guys? I've been thinking about it. I was like, how do I make the impact, right? And we are I love that song. That is an amazing song, guys. If you have the opportunity, go back and just listen to it. It is Carrie Underwood, and it's called Champion. It's just an amazing song. It's very uplifting. It speaks the words of what we stand for and what we believe in. And I'm just really excited to be back, guys. I'm back. So happy to see you guys. I can't wait to share with you what I've been up to. Some of you guys are friends with me on Facebook, so you kind of have an idea what I've been doing. But I can promise you that it's not even close to what you've seen on Facebook there, guys. So I just want to share with everyone just what's been going on and where I've been and why you haven't seen me and what we got coming up tonight. Tonight we have a special guest. This guy, his name is Coach Mike Evans. He's from actually a New York City kind of area, Long Island, that area down there. But he's a head executive for SKILLZ Worldwide, and we're gonna really get into depth with him as far as what that is, because this is something that we're gonna transition to through our program and what we're gonna be doing for the families and the students in our program. So I'm really excited to have him come on tonight and join us. But again, I just wanted to share with you guys just kind of what's been going on and where I was at and what I was doing. All right. So we're going to get started. We're going to give like another 10, 15 seconds, and I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. And whoever missed it, they missed it. They may have to watch the replay when we come back on here. All right. Okay, here we go. We're going in. There you go. Sensei Braun. I can see who it is. Okay. All right. So guys, so I have so we all in life, right? We all have to have coaches, right? So I am the coach and the coach for our school, for our team, for our staff, for all of our students. I am the coach for all of you guys. But for myself, I need a coach as well, right? So I need someone that I can go to, that I can kind of talk with, and I can network with, and I can get information. I can run things by. I can get some guidance on certain things. So I'm a part of this organization, and this a worldwide organization, and it's called Martial Arts Success Team. And I have an amazing coach, an amazing mentor. His name is Dwayne Spires, and his wife Lauren Spires, and they help probably about 1,500 schools. I know I keep saying 1,500, but that's a lot of schools in the country that are really impacting lives throughout the community. And I'm really excited to be a part of this with them. And they are amazing as far as what they do. And they really have helped guide me through this whole COVID thing and just over the past year and a half since I've been with them. Help us get us to another level and help us be able to keep our doors open, right? And be able to offer programs that will be able to help the families in the community, as well as kind of delivering what we've been able to do over the time. All right. So I'm really excited to tell you guys about this. So what it is, it's an event called MassCon. They host the event every year. Usually the event is in October, but with COVID and everything, they had to move it. Usually the event is at a hotel, in the Hotel Convention Center. And part of the challenge that they had with the hotel was that the hotel wouldn't allow them to have over 75 people in the event for the MassCon event, right? So, but they've already had 225 people registered for this event. So their team came together, and they researched different things that they can have. So us school owners, us people that need their guidance to kind of help them, or to help us kind of get through some of the things that we're kind of going through on the other side of our lives. What they did was they searched around and looked for places to be able to have this event and host this event, and they ended up going to Busch Gardens. So they had the event in one of the pavilion rooms at Busch Gardens. It was phenomenal. They were again, what I really appreciated about them is that, and this is some of the things that I try to model, and this is why you got to have coaches, you got to have people that are guiding you, that are helping you really get yourself to the next level and take you to the next level, right? And what I like watching with them is I always watch what they do with us as their customers, or as their members and as their clients. And what they did was, when that they could not host the event, instead of canceling their event, instead of moving it to a different date or anything like that, they tried to find something that they could do, and their team came together and they were committed to finding an actual place for us to be able to come to. And yes, it cost them a little bit more money. It was a little bit higher risk for them, but they did it for us as members of their organization, their program. And for me, it really resonated with me, because that is what I want to try to provide for our families and for the people in our program. And I hope that over time and over this last year or so, because we're coming on a year of this COVID thing, that you guys have kind of felt that from us and what we've been able to try to do and try to be there for you guys during this whole time. So it was really, really awesome to experience that with them. And I don't know if you guys ever been to like a stadium area or anything like that, but usually when you go to a stadium, right, there's those metal benches. And so at this place, it was metal benches, 3-day event, metal benches. And so what they did, and this is just another level of amazing customer service, amazingly taking care of your clients and your family members, and people that trust in you to help guide them, right? They went and got foam memory seat cushions for all the people that were attending, right? So they had 300 seat cushions that they gave to all the attendees in the event. Now in the event, again, I say 300, everybody's like, oh my God, that's a lot. You were in Florida, COVID. We were all, the facility was big enough for us all to be able to space out and have our own areas. So they may have had schools that came down together, or some people that came down together. All those people sat together. If you were not with those people, then you sat by yourself, or you sat with someone you felt comfortable with. And even when you're in this arena, everyone's wearing masks, right? So one of the things I realized when I was down in Florida over this past weekend was that, not past weekend, the weekend before, was that everyone thinks that Florida is just wide open, right? And people are just running around and no one's wearing masks and no one's doing their part to keep people safe. When I was down there, like, just about everyone I saw was wearing masks. Like, everywhere I went, people were wearing masks. The only time they weren't wearing masks is just like how we are up here when we go out to eat, or we're sitting with our someone that we're comfortable with. That was the only time people weren't wearing masks from where I was at in Florida. I saw businesses shut down, which was very, very sad to see. Service, the hotel service that I stayed at, they didn't have all the amenities that I was expecting when I got there, but it was all because of COVID, so they had to change that. So, we've gone through our struggle up here in New York, right? And everyone sees Florida as like, oh, Florida's is crazy and doing all this extra stuff. But honestly, people in Florida are kind of going through it as well as we are, right? But they are moving a little more freely because they're following the steps they need to take to keep each other safe. So I was really pleased by that. I was really disappointed by the information that we get that's not fully accurate. So again, just so you guys know, when we were down there, I was in a safe situation. I was safe. I kept myself safe, obviously, while I was down there. So one of the things that happened was my understanding when I went down to Florida was that I was going to have to quarantine for 4 days. When I got back, I go get tested. Once I get tested, I'm free and clear to go back out and finish doing what I have to do as far as regular life stuff, right? So that I thought went well. I had it. Everything was good. I get back and I get called from the Department of Health, and the lady in the Department of Health said, yep, you're fine. Just go get tested on Friday or Thursday, rather. You'll be clear. You should go back to living there as long as you don't have any symptoms. Of course, I don't have any symptoms. So I'm like, okay, great. So then she calls me back again, and she's like, all right, well, did you get tested while you were in Florida? I was like, well, I didn't get tested while I was in Florida. I know I had to get tested while I was in Florida. She said, well, if you got tested in Florida 3 days before you came back, then you go 4 days and then you get tested again. So I was like, okay, well, I didn't get tested in Florida, but I wasn't there long enough to get tested to come back. So then she says, okay, no problem. Just go get tested on Friday and you'll be fine. I was like, okay, cool. So then she calls me again, and I guess she obviously went and asked more questions, and she talked to her staff people, and the staff people pretty much stated that if I went to Florida and if I didn't get tested down in Florida before I came back home, and if I was down in Florida for more than 24 hours, which it was a 3-day event. Actually, I was down there for 4 days, that I would have to quarantine for 10 full days. Right. So this is why you guys haven't seen me. One was because I was at an event to help us grow, help us get to the next level, and during this time, in addition to, I was under the impression that I didn't have to test until I got back, as in being my 4-day quarantine and didn't get tested, which I was fine for that. But they extended it to 10 days. So technically I am on quarantine until Wednesday. I believe it's Wednesday. I'm going to check again, but I think today they told me it's 4 more days. So I'm assuming it's Wednesday, but it may be Thursday. One thing I want to say is I'm very, very appreciative of our amazing Rockstar staff. These guys really knocked it out for me. They finished up our winter break camp, which was great. And then they came in and they knocked out the days that I haven't been there. And they're going to continue to do that for the next few days that I'm not here. And I appreciate the families for really making sure that are really helping them. That's helping them kind of have an easy transition and making it work. So again, I'm really appreciative of that, guys. And I just thank you all for just all your support. And I promise you that once I get back in there, we're going to be rocking and rolling. We had our team's going to be ready to go. It's going to be a great, great time. All right. So with that being said, I'm waiting for Mr. Evans to come into the room. Does anyone have any questions for me while we're on here really quick before I jump in with him and have him come in? Any questions for me, guys? Again, just drop them right on the side here. If you can put your name with it, that'd be great. And I can kind of respond back to you that way as well. And let me just, as you're dropping your questions in there, guys, I'm going to go and check on my buddy here. And again, guys, if you're commenting on Facebook, I cannot see the comments on Facebook. I can only see them as they come through on the StreamYard. So you got to comment in there, and then I can respond back to you. So let me see. Perfect. Opening. We got that. Cool. Susie, we miss you as well. Susie, I can't wait to see you guys. Hey, Ann, how are you? Let's see. I see Brad. Where are you here? Okay, here we are. Oh, here we go. Excited to hear what's happening. Yeah, man, we got some awesome stuff. This is going to be great. This skills thing is really going to be an awesome thing, and I'm really excited. Like I can do my very best to explain it to you guys. I'll be honest. Sometimes my head is just blown by just how impactful it's going to be for the families in our community. And again, I don't want to explain it and get into it and then not do it the justice that it needs. So I was able to reach out to Mr. Evans, and he, like I said, he is the executive for the worldwide organization, and he was willing to come on with us tonight to do the actual, just kind of like a little presentation for you guys, so you know kind of what we're doing. All right. Any more questions? Any questions for me, guys? Any questions? Anything I see on here? Nothing. I miss you too. Whoever said we missed you, who was that there? Let me see if I can catch that one there. All right. Okay, so while we're waiting here, guys, again, I was waiting for him to come in. We do have our spring break camp coming up, guys. That's going to be on March 29th through April 3rd. It's going to be a great camp. I'm so excited about that, guys. That's going to be awesome. We sold out already of our next Parents Night Out, which is our Among Them Parents Night Out, which is kind of like the Among Us. I didn't realize I was going to sell out that fast, man. These kids, this is something that's really popular and that they're really enjoying being a part of and partaking in. So that is sold out already, which is really, really cool. Again, I enjoy the fact that parents and families are ready to get back to some normalcy and to be able to experience some things that the kids can have something that's going to uplift them. All right. Got a couple people trying to jump in here from. Yeah, and if you're on, if you see anybody trying to come in, if you can, oh, UMG blocked our video because it contained they own. It may contain they own. Uh-oh. Let's hope I don't get in trouble for playing that video for you guys. I thought it was really cool, but we'll see what happens. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started here. And if he does pop in, I'll bring him in. So guys, as we had gone through this COVID thing and everything was kind of, we were going through the transition. I'll be honest, when we had to shut down for the 3 months, we lost quite a bit of students. We lost I want to say we probably lost about 70 students, and that is a huge number for us to have lost during that time. And I don't want to say on hold or anything like that. We literally lost these students, and it was difficult, obviously, but I understood because of the time that we were in. So as we were going through this, guys, I started kind of thinking to myself, like, what is it about our program that there are some people that when they come into our program, they don't realize just how impactful our program is to their family, and the importance of our program is to their family. So I started thinking of just different things that we may have been missing. I truly believe our program has been impacting lives for years. I believe in the philosophy, the message, the actual direction that we try to go in for the kids. You can't expand because they blocked it, so you can only use our own comment. Frenchie, you can't expand because they blocked it. So you can only see our comments. Yeah, I can see your comments. That's fine, guys. Facebook. I'm still on Facebook too. Facebook like is still going, so we're still good on there. And if that's what you're saying. Okay. So again, guys, so what happened was when I thought about that, I was like, okay, what is it that we're missing though, right? What is it that we're missing? So one of the things that I realized about martial arts, right? And this has always been a challenge that I had, is that, I've never been a salesperson, right? I've never been great at sales.
No, I think that's a great idea.
I've never been good at sales. So for me, I always want to and I'm always the type of person where when you come onto the mat, and I will show you exactly what it is that we do, right? So with that being said, that's where I always was lost at. And then I said, okay, something's missing. So I had to go out and research what would be a great program that we can bring into our program that's going to really kind of identify the points that the children and the kids need in their stages of development, right? I feel we do a great job of that, but I feel that there was something still missing, to the point where like families felt that as things get to the point where it gets a little tough, that we're one of the first things that they decide to quit or leave, right? So obviously our program has value, but it doesn't have enough that really they feel is important enough for the children and for the people that they bring into our program. So I looked at the skills program. I've already kind of dabbled in the skills program, but then I wanted to really jump deep into it and really get myself into it, because I really feel it has everything that I believe that we are offering to families. But in addition to that, it gives me the structure and the actual language that we need, that parents need, and that families need to really kind of hang on to what it is that we are doing. So that's the goal behind the skills program. So I'm going to go ahead, like I said, I'm going to try to share some of the stuff. I understand it as I see it. As far as me explaining it, I'm going to explain it to you guys to my level of understanding, not understanding, but I understand it, but to my expertise of understanding. But again, if I can get Michael in, it's going to be great, because he is one of the chief executives behind the actual program. So, Ann, just one more time, is everything okay on Facebook? Are we good on Facebook? Can you guys hear me on Facebook? Can you guys give me thumbs up if you can hear me on Facebook? Because right now I'm just talking and I can't really see any faces. Renchi, you can't expand because they blocked it, so you can only see your own comments. Yes, just works on Facebook. Okay, we're all good on Facebook. All right, cool. So I can see your comments. So anybody else that's commenting, I just can't see you guys. So if you want to just put your name to it or whatever, that'd be great. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and dive in here. There is Bridget. Bridget's in the room. All right, let me see. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, guys. Kind of stick with me here. Again, this is a new software that I'm using for our.
I could see the chat, and I could see you. So if you want to just hit something in the chat box and I'll talk about it, I'll go from there. Hi, everybody, by the way. Always something going on here. No, nothing. That's weird. Oh, man. Well, let me click the having issues button and see what's going on. Yeah, so I mean, it just you could just chat right to me, and we'll kind of go from there. And I'll keep an eye on the comments here in case you want to send me something. Well, let me just click this one last button that says having issues here. And I just send that and see what happens here. Huh. Strange. Let me do that. All right. So I see you have the Life Skills program up on the screen there. Life Skills is a pretty awesome program. There's a lot of different ways that we apply it across all of the different skills schools. And I'm sure Renshi is going to find the way that works best for your audience there. So basically, Life Skills is one of the ways that we take the lessons outside of the training environment. It's one of our goals for training, as we always say, we don't want it to stop when the kids bow off the mat and then, they're little rugrats again until they come back into class. It's not our goal. We want to make sure that everything that we teach is in alignment with really valuable things that they can use in all aspects of their life. And Life Skills is one of the ways we do that. So what happens is each month, and there are 20 months worth of life skills before the kids go back to the beginning. Each month, the kids are able to get a series of lessons. Usually the first week we'll introduce the topic, talk about what it means. Ideally, we'll get the kids talking about what they think it means. And this way, when kids can define things for themselves, it makes it a little more powerful for them. So we help. Oh, I heard you for a second.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, cool. That's a little better. All right.
Okay. That was wild. What'd you do different?
I had a podcast like this, so I changed it.
Oh, okay. All right. Interesting. So am I on the right track here? Am I talking about the right thing now that I can hear you?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Yeah, so basically what we would do is in that first week, we would introduce a topic, run the kids through it. And then throughout the rest of the month, each one's a little bit different. They'll have the opportunity.
Testing.
That I can hear too. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, that sounds nice too.
All right.
Yeah. Throughout the second and third week, they'll go through different activities. Some of them will be in the school. Some of them will be take home. Some of them will be things that parents will interact with. And then in the final week, we bring it back home and help them reassess how they've improved. So our goal is to make this the bridge between the tools that we give them in class and the characteristics we'd like them to have outside of class. So all month long, we'll be prompting them on these topics.
Awesome. So let's kind of get into some of the different programs that we offer. I'll show you what we have that we're doing in our school. You can kind of give a little, maybe for each one, kind of give a little like what the 8 topics are, and maybe like 2 of them explain like why we do that in this program. Is that cool?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right, let's see what we got here. So we're gonna go to here. All right. So right now we haven't started our early skill yet, Michael. You like to call Michael or Mike?
Usually Michael means I'm in trouble, but
okay, all right. I'll call you Coach Mike. All right, got it. All right, so we haven't started the early skills yet. We're looking to start that within the next couple of weeks. As again, that's what I told our team before we actually started that. As a coach, I coach our team, I coach our students, but I also have coaches that help coach me. And one of the things that you talked to me about is that when we start the early skills program was that we had to do some feelers out. We had to put some information out so people understood exactly what we were doing with this program. So can you just kind of break down a little bit of what the early skills program is, and then we'll kind of go from that point?
Sure. So a lot of the latest research into education shows that the most impactful time in a child's education and development is actually the preschool ages. The tools and abilities that they'll gain between the ages of say 18 months or so and school age, so 4.5, 5 years old, are going to carry them through and be very formative to how they develop their personalities, and how they face the world. So when we developed early skills, and when I say we, I really mean Master Melody. Yeah, I came in after the fact. But when we designed early skills, it started, instead of, well, how do I teach martial arts to kids? It became, well, how do I teach kids using martial arts to have skills that they're already developing naturally, but to do it in an enhanced way? And what happened was, we found that there are 4 main areas where kids go through development. Physically.
Yep. So is this all kids in theory?
Yeah, in theory. In fact, we like to say that kids are not just small adults, but adults are big kids. So even adults can go and observe their life in these areas.
Okay, perfect.
You'll definitely see the differences, I think, more in the younger children. So those 4 areas are physically, intellectually, emotionally, and socially. And most martial arts, and in fact, most sports and activities, focus on the physical and intellectual. We're going to build your bodies, and we're going to give you the knowledge with, to express through your movement. So as we look physically, we found in the martial arts that what was happening is our expectations were a little bit skewed. And as we're trying to get them to hold stances, do push-ups, turn through forms, and do these really complex things, they were struggling. And it turns out that their brain development just isn't there yet. So we had to understand, and it's not their knowledge, it's the physical development of the brain doesn't have the physical connections to be able to do these things.
And I tell you, Mike, as an instructor, you used to get so frustrated because you couldn't understand like why they couldn't do this and why they couldn't do that and why they couldn't move their body. Like, look at how I'm doing it and do it how I'm doing it. And oh my gosh, like it'll be so like,
Yeah, and the kids, because they're so smart, I mean, kids at that young age actually learn a lot faster than we do before they go through a lot of this, we call it neurological pruning, where some of the pathways that they've used to actually do the learning aren't really necessary later in life, so the brain starts to cut them back. So intellectually, they're smart enough to learn these things, but they don't always have the language skills. The areas of their brain that process language just aren't developed yet. On top of that, they only have 3 years worth of English. Imagine if you were taking French in high school. I took 4 years of French. I could get by in a conversation maybe, but it was very difficult. Add to that, if my language centers weren't developed, and now I'm saying like, hey, Bobby, all I need you to do is stand in a horse stance, bend your knees, and stick out a front punch. Make sure you have that retraction hand and keep your eyes focused on the target. And they're like, hey, there's a ball. 'Cause all they're hearing is like the teacher in Charlie Brown. I mean, not everyone's old enough to remember that. It's just wah, wah, wah.
Right.
And then we get frustrated, and then we say, oh, this child is having behavior problems, or this child must have ADHD or something, not recognizing that it's us with the unfair expectations.
Yeah.
So when we created this program that matches what their actual needs are at this stage of development, it became far more powerful. And whereas like I used to be very frustrated with this age group, now we have kids that are thriving with us and actually stay engaged in our programs for, we've had some kids with us for 6-7 years that started in early skills.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah.
It's fantastic. And when they move up to those older programs, they do better than the kids coming in off the street because they've been mindfully developed in these.
Yeah. Yep. It's like they kind of went through like the farming of it, or like the roots of it, of the language and the building on all those four traits already. So as they get into the basic skills, they go from early skills to basic skills. They've already built kind of the fundamental things they need to be successful in that program.
Absolutely. The way that your brain makes nerve connections is very similar to how you build a muscle. The more you use it, the fatter the nerve becomes physically. Yep. And the more myelin that it has that coats that nerve, the faster it processes. So when a decision has to be made, they're already, I'm going to use the word pre-programmed, although that doesn't sound very nice when we're talking about psychology. Yeah, they're pre-programmed to make these really positive decisions.
Yeah.
Because they've started so young, their identity, their self-identity is one of a successful person who enjoys this learning environment.
Awesome. So I know in the early skills, in the early skills program, there's like catching. Why is catching important at that age?
So catching
And
is
why
actually,
so when I say that, like, when people come to the program, they think they're coming to a martial arts class. They want the kids to learn karate. Why are they doing catching? So why is catching important for that 3 and 4 year old age group?
sure. And I'm glad you brought that one up. That's actually one of my favorite to have to describe because I get exactly that.
Yeah.
So if you've ever played ball with a 3-year-old, if they can catch the ball, they'll throw that ball back to you and either it goes nowhere or it beans you in the face or it's off the left field. Physically, they don't have the development in their eyeballs and in the connections between their brain and their body to have good spatial relation. They don't have depth perception. They're not very aware of how their body interacts with the world. That's why kids at that age love to build towers and knock them down. They're learning about cause and effect. Intellectually, what we're seeing is that they're learning very high level physics. So when you throw a ball to somebody, you'll see that the very lower stage of development kids catch that ball on their face and then it falls into their arms. Then they try to catch it with their hands. Then they catch it with their fingers. And then they actually receive it and decelerate it to have control of it. So we're teaching them some pretty high level physics as we do catching.
Wow.
We're also teaching them to respond to stimulus rather than react to it. And what I mean by that is if a punch is coming at their nose, they can either, oh my God, a punch is coming at my nose, or they can recognize it and make a subtle shift to be able to block it. It's not appropriate to punch a 3-year-old, but I can toss them a ball.
Yeah.
And with their emotions, they're learning how to self-regulate when they can't catch it. And we train them. It's okay. We're learning. And we start to head off some of those tantrums or those big emotions that they might have.
And that would be like one of the emotional things that you're trying to help them get through as well, right? Just in that one part of that drill per se, right? So if they can't catch it, you see their response to it and you're helping them how to deal with that response to not being able to catch it.
Absolutely. And especially with the ball, when you have something physical that reacts like that, if they're having big emotions, they may throw that ball because it gives a response and a reaction.
Yeah.
And it gives us a chance to coach them through it. So it's not just the catching or the failure. It's our ability to then recognize these big emotions and give them the words to label it. Wow, I see that you're really upset that you couldn't catch that ball. I can tell because your pouty lip is sticking out. And when they start to label these emotions for themselves, they start to own them and be able to take control of it.
Awesome. So now we're going to let's go into the basic skills here. This is my basic skills instructor. He's over here to the left or right of me. This is my son, James. He's been doing a fantastic job with the class and the program. So I really wanted him to really kind of listen into how you explain this program and what the goal is for the program in this group.
Sure. So we're still looking at the same 4 stages of development. These kids now have great language skills. They've probably got about 80% of their language skill. A lot of what we're building then is just vocabulary. So when we look physically, we also know that even though they're starting to have big kid bodies, they're still learning about it. So physically, we're building their sense of balance, proprioception, which is our body's awareness of where its own parts are. That's why you can close your eyes and still touch your nose. And our goal is to be able to take them from just being able to do something to being able to do it well, because there's a difference there. And younger kids don't always understand that, but the 5 and 6-year-olds can. They just need to be coached. Intellectually, we know that they're easily confused when we ask them to do more than 2 or 3 things at a time. This is why these kids seem so smart. They use such adult language. But if you say, go upstairs, get your jacket, put your coat on, and come back down because we have to go to school. 5 minutes later, you'll go upstairs and they're sitting there in their underwear with their jacket on and one shoe sitting next to them as they play video games. And it's not a bad kid, or they just struggle with more than 3 steps. So if I would have said, go upstairs, get your jacket. Good. Now go put your shoes on. Now let's get ready to leave. They would have done far better.
Yes, sir.
Goal is to intellectually take them to a point of processing where they can deal with those bigger tasks by learning how to link them together. So this is the first time we actually, in our martial arts, do combinations, because what's a combination? 2 to 3 to 4 steps linked together. Emotionally, we start to see them losing focus, shutting down when they're not happy. They're probably not throwing those temper tantrums or having meltdowns like the younger kids, but they do still have very strong opinions, and they are very deeply motivated by the approval of adults. If you've ever seen, I think it was the show Kids in the Hall that used to have the, I think his name was Philip, and he was like this 40-year-old man dressed as a 5-year-old, and he used to flit around. Look what I can do. Look what I can do. That's a 5-year-old. They only want your approval.
Yeah. That's amazing, because it's funny. I mean, you say that, but I can literally see our kids doing exactly those type of things in that age category. It's so mind blowing that you can actually, that as you explain that, you can identify exactly what's happening as you say that. You're absolutely right.
And it's important to recognize it. Whether you're a parent or you're the instructor, very often we in the past would say, look, man, that's great that you love dinosaurs. I need you to focus though. Like no talking in class, or look, I know that you're interested in video games, but you got to get your shoes on because we got to go. And it generates frustration and stress, and you start emitting these stress cortisol hormones that really shut down learning. When we can meet their base need, which is approval from us. Wow, you like dinosaurs? I love dinosaurs too. In fact, my favorite dinosaur is a T-Rex. What's yours? Brontosaurus? Cool. For the next 10 exercises, we're going to count out things that a brontosaurus might eat. Bananas, leaves, whatever it is. So I've made that connection, but then taught them how to still stay focused while we're having that conversation, which is a very adult thing to be able to.
I'm talking to my son. I want to make sure he hears what you're saying, how to change that up there a little bit.
Yeah, and that's a really powerful skill that, even some of us as adults focus on, right? You want me to do two things at once and have a conversation? Whew, I'm gone.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so now we're going to the core skill program. Again, this is kind of where we're getting a little bit higher level in age, a little more maturity, a little more understanding of certain things. So what are some of the things that we see in this category that the kids still are developing?
So core skills is what we call like the golden age of teaching kids. They are old enough and smart enough to know that there is a big world out there and to know all about it, but they are still dependent on us enough to want our input. So I love teaching this age group. We know that they are so smart. We can have conversations about life and the meanings of the universe or puppies. It doesn't matter. But we also know that they struggle when it comes to, well, show me good technique. So we're not just teaching them punches. We're teaching them what's the difference between a good punch and a not good punch, so that they can start to see these things for themselves. Intellectually, we expect them to lose focus if things aren't interesting. The hallmark of a 7 to 9-year-old is that they're no longer motivated by our approval. They are only motivated by their own approval. And what I mean by that is if they think something is interested, they're going to focus on it. If they don't think something is interesting or cool, they're not. So part of our job is to make intellectual connections about why this is meaningful. And then the catchphrase for this age group is usually, oh, that's easy. Because they have that very strong belief, oh, we're going to do 1,000 push-ups. 1,000 push-ups, that's easy. And we want them to try these things, but learn about resiliency. You thought it was easy. Now we're only up to number 3 and you're struggling. Let's talk about goals. Let's talk about what it means to be easy so that next time you face this, maybe it will be easier. Which is also important because emotionally, they overthink, they overprocess. They're good as long as they make instant decisions, but if you give them something that's difficult, they'll think till the cows come home and never actually take action. So it becomes very useful for us to teach them the importance of taking action. Don't think about whether to do a high block or a side block. Just do a block, because otherwise,
do the action. Yep. Do the action. Awesome. So now the extreme skills, that is that's the like 10 and older, 11 and older, type 11 to 14 ideally.
Yes.
And what is the so these guys are obviously a little like older now. They're in a different, they're middle school, entering high school, first year of high school. What is that stage of growth that these guys are going to be getting from our program as we start developing this?
So usually when we think of this age group, the first thing that most adults have come to mind is, oh, they're so lazy.
Mm.
And yes, they are. It's science. So if
What you
we
mean?
have,
What do you mean? What do you mean by what do you mean? What do you mean by that? What do you mean? Hold on, let me shoot it. What do you mean? What are you talking about, my?
yeah, I know what you're
Who would ever think that? Why would an adult ever think
So
that?
if we have any 10 to 14-year-olds listening right now, it's totally not your fault. However, that doesn't let you off the hook because now you have to learn why. So as we go into this age group, kids are going through a second big shift. They went from being toddlers with those big heads and little Cheeto toes that you want to nibble on to being, sweaty boys and girly girls or vice versa. Now they're turning into teens. And what happens is their bodies are undergoing tremendous growth. They're hitting those secondary growth spurts where their bones are lengthening. They're starting to get muscle mass. They're getting like, you see these 10-year-olds walking around with 6-packs and a mustache.
Yeah.
Maybe not the mustache, but their brains are going through the same thing, rewiring, literally turning to mush one piece at a time and rewiring. Add to that all those hormonal changes of puberty. And what happens is physically, they are going to be very sloppy when they try anything. And it's not that they can't do it. If you've ever asked a 10 to 14-year-old to clean their room, it's going to be the minimum amount of effort. Everything goes under the bed or in the closet or, I crumpled my clothes and they went in the drawer. Oh, what's happening though is their bodies are predisposed to conserve energy because that energy is needed for growth. So they will subconsciously take the minimum amount of effort. Intellectually and emotionally, the same sorts of things are happening. The parts of their brains that control decision making are complete mush right now as they take on their more adult wiring. And this can take anywhere from age 10 to age 22 or beyond if you're a boy. Their emotional centers, however, are firing full speed ahead, and tie the neurotransmitters into that from puberty. They're making really bad decisions. Socially, they know that when it comes to the what you think about them, you don't understand. Only their friends matter because their friends are on par. And one of the things that you hear a lot is them making comparisons to their knowledge versus your commands. And I use the term command very loosely. Like you can't even do calculus. Why should I listen to you? These kids are probably smarter than we are when it comes to knowledge. They haven't yet learned wisdom or application of their knowledge. So our goal at this age is to start to become more mentors to them rather than authority figures, to show them why these things are important, how it will help them socially, and how it will help them with the big visions that they're starting to have at this age. It's not any longer just, well, I want to go out and play with my friends. It's, well, I want to be a doctor when I grow up. I want to be a marine biologist when I grow up. They're having these really big visions, and it's our job to help them achieve that. Also in the martial arts, they're thinking about black belt and beyond.
Yep. So what I do like about it, this is what I was kind of saying earlier today, was it's beyond martial arts though, right? It goes outside of just the punching and kicking as far as what the skills program that we're going to be offering and what it's going to do for our families in our program. That's really one of my biggest draws to it, is that you're going to have the opportunity to really impact the lives more than just what we do on the mat. Like it's so much more that we're helping them intellectually, as you said, intellectually, physically, emotionally, and socially. That's going to really help them in other aspects of their life as they continue to go through life. So I think that's amazing, man. I'm really excited to be a part of this program and be a part of the SKILLZ family and be able to implement this into our program. So what we're going to get into now is the parenting skills. Oh yeah.
Sure. Just before we go to that real quick.
Yeah.
I know sometimes when we start to go into more of the child development, sometimes people worry about the martial arts aspect of it.
Yeah, let's get into that. Yep.
I describe it this way. If you wanted to learn how to screw two pieces of wood together, you could come to somebody who is an expert at screwing pieces of wood together. And when you lose your screwdriver or run out of screws, then you're stuck. If you want to learn how to stick two pieces of wood together, I'm going to teach you how to glue it, how to screw it, how to nail it, how to carve it, how to wrap it with tie wraps, how to use duct tape. You'll be good at all of them. One of those things will also be screwing the boards together. When we use SKILLZ, the screws and the screwdriver are just the tool. The martial arts is the tool. You're going to get it, but you're going to get really good at understanding why you're doing it, which is a skill you can take no matter where you need to put two boards together. So it's kind of the analogy I'm working with these days. If you guys have a better one, I'd love to hear it.
No, that's awesome. That's actually, I mean, that's the thing too. So like when you get into this type of stuff, the first thing people think is like, oh, you're missing, like there's not the karate, right? Or it's not what we had originally thought. And that's where I like the terminology of child development center or child development program, because we're a child development program that uses martial arts as one of the vehicles that helps them get to another place or a place of development, right? So if we were basket weaving, we're going to use all the same principles, but just our vehicle would be basket weaving, right? Or our vehicle would be something else as opposed to martial arts. So
you mentioned that during the pandemic, I'm right here on Long Island in New York as well. So I went through the same lockdowns and everything. During the pandemic, we actually started almost like a scouts type of thing where we went out to the 6,000 acres of woods behind me, and we used skills to teach woodsmanship and actually literally basket weaving in some cases.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. So, but
when you learn how to learn, it doesn't matter what the topic is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. All right. Let me see if I can pull up this next thing for us here. I really appreciate you taking the time to come in, man. I'm so sorry on the confusion. I don't know why it was doing what it did, but I'm glad you stuck around and you gave us your time here. I appreciate it.
No
All
problem.
right. So parenting skills. Talk to us a little bit about the parenting skills and what is parenting skills and why do parents need skills? What do we need as parents?
All right. So I'm going to approach this with a certain amount of tact. No parent likes to be told that there's a better way to do it. And I know that because I'm a parent. However, we do know that parenting also doesn't come with a training manual. And a lot of what we figure out is through trial and error. And if you're an awesome parent, you've probably had those nights where you go to bed and wondering if you did the right thing that day, or weary and crying because you lost it on your kid that day. We all go through this. Parent Skills was designed as a way to become that parenting manual for a couple different reasons. First of all, when a child has consistency in their learning environment, it's so powerful. If they go to first grade and they learn all these things, all these common core math things, and then all of a sudden we have lockdown and they come to you or I to learn how to do these mathematics. Well, I don't do common core. I do the old fashioned way where I write it all down. And it becomes, well, my mom does it this way and the teacher does it this way. And now I don't know what to do. And the learning environment is actually a little detrimental to their advancement. So same thing with our training as a child development center. We want the parents keeping consistency with what we do, the ways that we interact with the kids. And this is not to say, look, you're doing it all wrong. This is how you have to do it. It's, you're a great parent. You're here. You care about your kids.
Absolutely.
An easier way to do things. So things like when in a skill style class, we correct kids very differently than we used to in the old days. I'm an old school Kung Fu guy. So you take me back 10 years ago and a kid blinked, that was horse stance, punishment, push-ups, it was bad. And it corrected the behavior in the immediate moment, but it actually made it worse in the long term. And it turns out there are tons of studies on the difference between disciplines and punishments. And what we learned through our study with skills is that the very first thing you need with anybody is connection. So when a child is struggling, instead of yelling at them and calling them out or punishing them, we get closer and make a connection. Because when they're connected to us, they want to learn from us and they start doing the right things or asking us better questions. So what we're doing now is extending that out to the parents. So let's go back to that example of little Johnny that you sent up to his room to get his shoes and jacket and get ready for school. Let's say he's already up in his room playing video games. Hey, little Johnny, it's time to go to school. Get yourself ready. 5 minutes goes by. Nothing happens. You yell up again. Nothing happens. You yell up again until finally you get all upset and you go storming upstairs, kick down the door, and he's not paying attention to you. The problem was not that he wasn't listening. The problem was that he was connected to something else. There's a barrier, an emotional barrier.
Yep.
I know it takes more effort, but if you would have the first time gone upstairs, caught his eyes, his full attention, gotten down to his level, made a physical contact. So now we have intellectual, emotional, physical, and social contact, and said, hey, buddy, we got to leave in 5 minutes. I bet you in 5 minutes, you'd have been able to leave. Those connections are really important. So all these different skills that we use in class, we've extended and put together a parenting program that helps you guys do these things mindfully. Much of it you're probably already doing by instinct as parents. You're attuned to the needs of your kids. Your baby cries. What do? Well, you see, does it need to be fed? Does it need to be changed? Does it just need to be held? You feel yourself losing your patience. You'd say, look, I can't talk about this right now. And you go talk about it later. There's all these different things that we do, but you don't do them mindfully. And if you're not doing mindfully, it makes it really hard to do them consistently and to do them in a systematic way that, first of all, takes us down a notch so that we can be the best parents we could be, but also supports our kids. Our job is to teach and nourish and grow our kids, not just to yell at them. And I know this because this is how I felt sometimes. I didn't have skills when I was a younger parent. And I always felt always saying no. I'm always yelling at my kid. And you know, now I have a much better relationship with my child. She's a little older now. So a little bit more in-depth conversations.
Well, I can say, I mean, as myself, as a parent, you know, there's things that I'm still learning and I'm still looking to grow in as well. So I find myself, I'm the one that always says no. You know, their mom will be like, ask your dad, and they're like, I'm not asking him. I know what he's gonna say. So this is something that I'm working on myself as a parent. And I'm excited because as I take these skills and I start teaching some of the other parents these skills, it's going to be more of like, I'm not teaching you this is what we all are going to do together. And we're all going to kind of grow in this journey together to becoming better parents, to help our family and our kids get to the best place possible.
Absolutely. And that's the goal, is really for all of this to work in synergy. You know, as we go through the 8 skills with the kids that they're learning in class, we're giving them a certain set of tools. When we then add life skills to that, we're giving them a way to use those tools to take it out of the class. We as instructors are going through tons of training on the skill side where we're learning better ways to interact and teach and nurture. And now when I can also give parents something that works with the kids' life skills, that leverages their in-class age-specific skills and is right in line with my teaching skills, because that is a program for skills instructors, that child is going to have a support network of discipleship. And I say that in the sense of, you know, when we think about discipline, you usually think about like, well, go to your room, timeout. Discipline means to teach. And if I'm going to be the teacher, the child becomes my disciple. So we talk about discipleship, not necessarily like in a biblical sense.
Yep. No, I understood what you meant.
Yeah. And that becomes now something that the child always can rely on, whether they're young and they have a big emotion that they don't know how to handle because they had a challenge in class or on the playground, or they're teens and they don't know what to do when somebody approaches them and gets a little too handsy or offers them something that maybe they're not comfortable partaking in. They know they've got this network and the tools to somehow overcome it.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So again, Mike, I'm very excited to be on this journey with you guys. I thank you for all the behind the scenes conversations that you listen. Anytime I shoot you a message, I shoot you a text, you always respond back, and you always give me amazing feedback to help myself grow, to help me lead my team, and to really help our families and our program really get the highest level of service that we can provide to help them get to the best place possible. So I'm going to go ahead and share this last screen because this is something that I know that's kind of taken a new ownership of what we are and what we do. And I'm going to have you kind of talk about a little bit and what the.
All right. Well, let's see what you're going to pop up here. You can put me on the spot with something hard.
Bam. What does this mean?
All right. So SKILLZ is the company that creates all of this curriculum, that provides all of the training for instructors. It is essentially a consulting company that your instructors, for those of you watching, have decided to up their game and become the best instructors that they can be. Not that they're not already amazing, They're just leveling up, just like we want the kids to do. The idea of being licensed means that, licensed this curriculum from us that goes right in hand with everything that we espouse. And they are now receiving the training to be able to provide it to you, to your children, and to do so in such a way that also meets the goals of your specific school. So the way that, Ranchi Carlos does SKILLZ might be a little different than I do, because it's not the what or the how, it's the why behind it.
Yes, sir.
And then that last part, that child development center. So as we look at martial arts is very powerful. It's had a powerful place in so many lives, my own included. It's saved my life more times than I can count, including from myself at times, from having made some really bad decisions in my younger years. So we know the power of martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
The benefits for all these years, though, have been a bit of a side effect. So now as we take these powerful lessons that we've learned as adults and bring them to the kids so that hopefully they learn from our experience, they learn from our wisdom. Hopefully we have that wisdom. Now it's that the focus is no longer on the art. Now, that does not mean the art is not there. I still teach Kung Fu. My guys still wear Kung Fu tops. We whip around Chinese weapons. We still do our martial arts. But the emphasis is on the child and how we develop them, or how we help them to develop is probably a better way to put it.
Yeah. Yep.
And then it is a center, because it is a center of learning, not just a martial arts school or an academy where we're just focusing on a topic or a specialty. We're a center of child development. We are essentially watering, nurturing, fertilizing, providing sunshine for these young shoots. They're going to grow into the wonderful trees that will support our world for the next generation.
Yeah,
so
when I first opened up our program, and when we transitioned to, like 5 or 6 years ago, I transitioned to the mindset of being a personal development center, right? And that was like my mindset at the time, and it still is now. I still believe that we are a personal development center, but I realized that our children need us probably more now than they've needed us in such and ever before, right? And the things that we're able to do through the SKILLZ program, it's right up the alley of what these kids are going to need as they transition through this time in life and this adjustment to the new world that we have to live in now,
So, as you look at the science of living through a pandemic, and, here in New York, it's been over a year, that we've dealt with. And even if it hasn't touched us personally, just the environment has.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as we speak with developmental experts in the industry, the impacts of living through a pandemic are the same as having lived through trauma. The anxieties that we're seeing, the emotional regressions where now your 7-year-old is hiding behind your leg like maybe your 3 or 4-year-old might.
Yeah.
The things that we're seeing in kids is a traumatic experience, which is now, because it's long-term trauma, unfortunately becomes formative to their long-term life. When they're 60 or 70, the decisions they're making will be based on that year that they had to live through trauma.
Yeah.
In fact, it, through various chemical processes, actually changes the way that your genes express and will cause different changes in your body's growth and development, physical. By becoming a child development center, we change our angle of approach. We no longer teach martial arts so that kids will get these benefits. We teach these benefits so that kids can learn martial arts and be well developed in every aspect of their lives. And that's really the difference between a child development center and I'll use the word just a martial arts school. And that's not lower the martial arts school, because I would not be what I am without it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, none of us would be, but again, we're able to, I love the fact that we can take what we do. Like, I truly believe that everything that you've discussed and that we've kind of gone through, martial arts to a certain degree provides, right? We just didn't have the right terminology of understanding what we were actually doing. And now that you've kind of like, we can put the words and the language and the understanding and the development, and now we can take, instead of taking that 5-year-old kid that we're trying to get down his horse stance, understand that that's not something that he can comprehend right now to a certain degree. right? And we have to bring it to where he would understand it a little bit better and understand that over time, it will develop to where we want it to be over time. But it's going to happen in the stage of development that we need to happen in at that time. Not, I'm not trying to have a 6-year-old world champion in the straddle stance, right? Because that's not.
And you may get some, but we call those anomalies. They are some their stage of development. And I was an anomaly as a child. I was way high intellectually, but usually there's a give and take there. I struggled emotionally and socially.
Okay.
So now we're recognizing that there's no rush. I don't need to make a 7-year-old who can go out and do effective self-defense against a 40-year-old man. I had this discussion a while back. We don't need to create warriors at age 7. In fact, when you do, that's when you start getting slapped with sanctions by, like world councils, because you're like Boko Haram or Khmer Rouge having child warriors.
Yep.
We want to create a warrior mindset, which is something a little bit different. It's that strength to stand up, that resiliency to face setback, that honesty with oneself to know when it's appropriate to do something, but when something is also maybe a little beyond us. Humility, not to never speak up, but to speak up for greater good. These are things that in martial arts we talk about. But I also don't need to create somebody that can defend against a knife or a gun or cavalry or, things like that. There's
at
time.
7 years old. There's a time for that. Absolutely. Well, Mike, I'm going to bring this to a closing, man. I just want to thank you for jumping on again. I know we had some people on that was here earlier when I tried to go through it all. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take this and I'm going to actually go and edit it, and I'm going to edit it to the point where you come in and we discuss and they can really hear what you say. I'm going to get rid of my part because I did not do it as much justice as you did. And I really appreciate you, man. I appreciate what you're doing for the SKILLZ organization. I appreciate all your input and all your help for us as consultants in your group. And you're doing an amazing job, man. And I thank you for helping us really impact lives the way that we're able to do that. Is there anything you want to leave for our guys before we go, or?
I know that when we transition from one thing to another, there's a little nervousness. You guys have a relationship in your school. It's a relationship of trust and partnership in raising the child. Trust it. There may be some things that are different that maybe you're not used to. Recognize those emotions as they come up, and then look at your child and think of the times that they have to recognize those emotions too, and how much harder it is. And then look for ways to give them a step up on the tools. And as those things come up, please, I know I'm not right there in your school, but I am available to you guys through Renshi Carlos. If you have questions, please ask him. Keep communications open. That is so important.
Yeah,
and then, sir, if you have any questions, you have me. We are completely in your corner.
All right. I appreciate it, man. Mike, thank you so much. Anybody that's still on with us right now, I want to thank you guys for sticking it out with us. I know there was looked like there was some kind of confusion happening on Facebook there, but that's fine. I recorded it and I'll re-put it back up in our group so everyone kind of check it out. Man, I really appreciate your time. You have an amazing night, man, and have a great, great week ahead of you, okay?
You as well. Thank you for having me on.
Take care, bud. Thank you.